Hey everyone, Voltas here, coming through your speakers. Today we've got another 1v1 matchup on Metalopolis. This is part of the IEM Global Challenge Season 6. I found this, I've been doing some IEM Global Challenge games, and I found this. This is actually the finals between the top two players. This is game one. There's a few more games out there, and depending on how good this goes, I might be casting those as well. But let's introduce our players. In the upper middle section of Metalopolis, we have our green Protoss, MouseSports, MaNa. And in the bottom of Metalopolis, we have our red Zerg player, none other than DIMAGA. We've got a lot of uhs that I can stretch out as long as I want. So let's get this game going. Looks like MaNa has already done his little poke in and watched the Zerg do absolutely nothing. No tech, no development seen there, but he popped right back out. MaNa is going for a standard gate and gas, single gas. Nothing unusual going on just yet. A little bit about these players, the little bit that I know, since this is the IEM Global Challenge. We did see some Korean players. I even think I saw some North American players as I was scanning through the stuff. I believe I cast a Korean match up previously. But it does look like it has gone to the home teams as far as the European area. Both gentlemen are from Europe. MouseSports MaNa is from Poland. And then we have DIMAGA from the Ukraine. So, you know, maybe home field advantage. Maybe Korea didn't send their A crew. But I think I saw some decent players on their end. It's just good to see that, you know, the home team is winning right now. We've got a little patrol going on here that's going to kind of just try to disrupt putting down a hatchery. But these four Zergling are going to come in here and at least dispatch that little probe that tried to slow down the hatchery. I don't think there was any kind of significant loss there. Now he's chrono boosting out his first zealot to prevent those Zerglings from actually getting inside his base. Researching gateway, and now a stalker's gonna come into play. All pretty straightforward. Now I do see that he has a second gas, so it could mean that he is going to try to tech up a little quicker, get into some of those more gas-heavy Protoss troops. But to be honest, I played Protoss, and it seems like there's a lot of gas-heavy Protoss troops. So, but that's kind of the nature of the beast, I suppose. And I suppose each side, as you progress up your tech tree, everything uses gas. I don't see anything too unusual going on the Zerg side. We do have metabolic boost coming in, so we're going to have some speedlings upgrades pretty soon. We got the queen that has lumbered down here without creep, and she's ready to spew some eggs. Spewing the eggs right when that Zerg gets in there already. She's gonna do it. Come on, don't make me a liar. Make me a liar. That's okay. There you go. Alright, so we got a little Maynard of 4 or 5 drones down here. Zerg definitely is droning up as comparison to trying to build up a mess of Zerglings. Now it does look like he's trying to do, I wouldn't call this forge fast expand because that's not what it is, but it looks very similar when you create this arc over here. You would usually do that with a forge. But he's doing just kind of an early expand, and he's gonna block that off with these 2 sentries and this stalker. You see a pylon over here. I do like the placement. I like the placement of that pylon. That's going to prevent any kind of Zergling run around on the back of his lines. And then that actually leaves room so that he can pop a gateway over here and really kind of narrow down the number of places that Zerg can go in there. So I do like the building placement and pylon placement on our Protoss player side. And then, of course, Zerg is going over here and is doing expansion to the right side. Kind of the natural progression from his naturally. So nothing too unusual. Looks like he poked out here a little bit, chasing after this one Zergling. Didn't really want it to see anything. And then we see these phantom phoenixes flying about with their filthy little... Alright, I'll stop right there. But they are gonna kind of run over here, and he is going to see this expansion. That's useful information. He does know that Zerg is rapidly expanding. He could also possibly use somewhat of a timing push. Now, he doesn't even have a drone with this group. You would think that maybe he brought this group out, brought a drone along with it, popped down a pylon, and start some earlier aggression, but he just pokes out and then comes back. Another Phantom Phoenix flying about. Now we do have a pylon going up over here, so maybe he plans on continuing this macro game alongside his competitor. We'll see how this pans out. And yes, of course, he is actually adding a third base. Both sides not really being aggressive at this point. Building up on the Zerg side. He's got +1 melee coming in, and looks like Gil Reconstitution. I believe that's the burrowed regeneration. I'm not sure. I'm not that versed with Zerg. I'll have to look that up. Robotics facility going down, so we possibly could see Colossus, some mortal play. Well, probably one of those two. I mean, come on, that's what a robotics does. So we'll see what happens there. He has walled off this area with gateways, so he's finally putting in his gateway engine. Probably indicates that he's going to stick with tier 1 units, at least to augment whatever he plans on doing. And there's the key indicator I wanted to see. The robotics bait just went down, so we are going to see some Colossus. He is popping out on an observer just to check things out. Zerg is doing a nice job of spreading the creep, already covering a good chunk of this lower half of the map. And then he is quickly expanding again over here to the right hand 3 o'clock side. But MaNa is quick to view that with his Phoenixes, so they both seem like they've got a good handle on what each other is doing, and what each other is doing is macroing up. Looks like Protoss is up to 116 in its supply and army. Zerg is 99 out of 110. So, yeah, looks like both sides are queuing up for the late game engagements. There was no real early game, or even, I don't even know if we could call it, we're in the mid game, but I still see no aggression on either side. We're 11 minutes and 55 seconds and nothing really significant from either side. Infestors are on the field now, and we've got extended thermal lances coming. So yeah, we are heading to the late game. I think both sides have just resolved to, this is going to go long, this is going to go hard, and we're going to fight it out. Bunch of spine crawlers going down here over on the left side to protect pretty much all of the natural inhabitable bases for Zerg. I like that. Other than the gold base, those should cover that, and when the creep moves up, I'm sure he can move those up. Backing that up is the Zerg army. Nice composition so far. We've got infestors in play. We've got a few roaches and a lot of Zerglings. Kind of a nice balanced setup. I'm not sure what these 3 roaches are going to do up here. Well, I guess they're just going to take out this Zealot quickly. Take over that Xel'Naga tower. If anything, just prevent the Protoss player from knowing what's going on. But the Protoss player is going to go ahead and head out with his little ball. He's got the Colossus with the extended thermal lance, a couple of mortals. He's warping in more stalkers on the bottom ground. As far as upgrades, they got +1 to attack. So not too many upgrades. The +1 defense is almost up. +1 to armor. As far as upgrades for the Zerg player, he has invested in +2 to defense. So even though Zerglings are a little more gnarly than he should expect, we'll see how that turns out. And it looks like MaNa is going to try to take the gold base. He's the first of the 2 players to kind of stick his neck out and grab that gold base. As you can see in the lower left-hand side, this creep highway is literally a highway on Metalopolis, on the highway. And yeah, it's moving right around his base. I would feel pretty uncomfortable with this situation, but he seems to be doing okay with it. Looks like he's got some cannons up to try to defend on this side, but unfortunately, I think he really needs to defend on the side with the creep. I'm not sure if he sees this. He should be able to see this. Does he see this? See, I got my cameras all messed up. I hate it when I do that. So, yeah, okay, well, now he brings troops down here, and he does see it. And we do have, messing around with my cameras here, we do have the Protoss player kind of going over here trying to clean up some of the creep. Obviously, that's a vulnerability that I was pointing out earlier. He really doesn't want this creep highway running right up into the middle of his world, especially when he's setting up that gold base. So he has pretty much established himself on the gold base, both sides running on, well, it looks like the Protoss is running on 4 bases. The Zerg is running on 5. Of course, the Protoss player is on 1 gold base, so that could make somewhat of a difference as far as the amount of production. We do have Psionic Storms being researched and Zealot Charge, so we'll see some charge-a-lots here in just a little bit. And we do have the Protoss +2 to damage coming along. So it looks like our Protoss player is keeping up with his upgrades. Our Zerg player, however, is sticking with the +1 defense for Zerglings. But, okay, now, I don't understand this. There's very little response to these few roaches over here. Slowly responding to them, and I think that these roaches are just going to take their doom. But they, you know, they took out quite a few probes before any initial reaction from MaNa. Now we do have, oh, now that's just some bad micro on DIMAGA's part. He just single-filed those roaches into the Protoss ball, and it looks like we are going to have some kind of engagement here. Infestors did their infestation. Nicely done there. Probably could have targeted a few more units. And it looks like the Protoss is going to try to push into this wall of spine crawlers. We've got Brood Lords overhead that are getting wiped out by the Blink Stalkers. Probably not quite ready on the Zerg side for this kind of aggression. And he lost all those Brood Lords. Do have more Brood Lords on the high ground. I'm not sure to what effect they are. Infested Terrians coming down here and are going to kind of push off the Protoss army. More aggression coming in with the resupply, but I think Zerg finally got himself established. Was mostly shot. All right, Psionic Storm's going down on the roaches. Nice force fields. We do have Corruptors coming in. We'll see if they can deal with that single. Well, there's only a single Colossus in the group. Just to keep, I suppose, just to keep Zerg honest. Those Brood Lords are going to go down quickly because they are being microed. Boom! All right. MaNa is definitely making a heavy push. He's now deep in Zerg territory. We've got just single file units coming in. Those Corruptors are not even focusing down the Colossus. Not very good work on the micro from DIMAGA. I think he's kind of on his back foot here and not reacting well. And it looks like MaNa is just going to continue to push in. And he's going to probably take out this far expansion of DIMAGA's. Now, I'm not sure why he leaves that hatchery in place. Obviously, something scared him off. There are a significant number of Brood Lords and Infestors coming up. Roaches push forward. Blink Stalkers blinking up to try to take on and single target those Brood Lords. And the Brood Lords are going to go down again, but at what cost? Nice storms on the Roaches. But the number of Stalkers is dwindling to the massive number of Roaches. So the Protoss push has dwindled significantly. More Infestors. The Infestors are just kind of holding back. Back and forth. Really, I don't understand DIMAGA's micro. I thought he was a much better micro player than this. But he is now kind of reaching a threshold where I think he is going to clean up this Protoss aggression, possibly. Nice blink play. Keeping the blink stalkers that he does have in play. And he looks like he does have DIMAGA cornered yet again. Brood Lords are being somewhat effectual, and since the number of stalkers has been significantly reduced, they don't have the numbers to single target those Brood Lords and take them out, and that will finally push back the heavy push from MaNa. MaNa is going to go ahead and focus fire now on this gold base, so DIMAGA will not be getting his gold base anytime soon. Pretty good aggression from MaNa. I thought he did a decent job in there. I thought he was going to break DIMAGA's back, but DIMAGA, despite a few poor micro decisions, I think he was able to create the numbers necessary. Now this is a nice wall that would have been put up if they weren't settling in just as Protoss comes up here to do another push in. So he is going to lose a lot of those spine crawlers. I would call that somewhat of a win for the Protoss, but I think he's going to lose the rest of this army. But he did cost Zerg quite a significant amount of spine crawlers and defenses, and these Stalkers are still trying to take down these Brood Lords, or what would be Brood Lords. I'm not sure why these Infestors haven't at least dropped some infested Terrans down on those guys. Well, because they're pretty much out of energy except for this guy right here. So Zerg is going to try to put up a defense. And you know, up here, I'm not sure why he just left this hatchery. It was at about 40%, and he just walked away from it. Could have at least taken it out before he left. So Protoss is going to come in here with another set. Now look at this sneaky little guy. He decided, hey, if you're not going to mine this gold, I will. So he's got a huge long distance mining activity going on. You know, I like that, because when you get into a late game and it's who has the most minerals, stealing from your competitor means less for him and more for you. So I like that kind of sneaky tactic that he's got going on here, and I think the reason why he pushed in with these stalkers and all this was just to kind of cover himself while these probes went in here and took on the mining. And I'm not really sure why DIMAGA decided that it wasn't useful to go ahead and take out those mining probes, figuring they're non-combative units, but still they're stealing your gold, my friend. They're stealing your gold. Do not let them steal your gold. We got a single Archon and some Stalkers. Again, I think these are just in here to kind of count as a diversion while these evil probes steal what they can from our Zerg player. And then we've got a little incursion, a couple Zealots up here, causing trouble, causing a little havoc, running around seeing what kind of technology they can take out. They are going after this Greater Spire, but to no avail. That surround from those Zerglings and those couple Roaches will be able to take care of that. Now we do see that the main base, the natural And almost this third base are running out for DIMAGA. He still has not touched the gold base, whereas in MaNa is almost done with his gold base. Still good on his third base. Pretty much mined out on his first and second base. So we are reaching this attrition point where both sides are going to eventually start running out of money, or at least running out of places to go. Now we do have a bunch of Archons and a bunch of Zealots and some Stalkers coming in here doing a little bit of aggression, and it doesn't look like DIMAGA has a significant force. Okay, his force was over on the other side, and this group is gonna poke him with impunity. He did take down that Greater Spire. That is going to significantly disrupt DIMAGA's check tree. Trying to take down that infestation pit. Oh, the Mink statue goes down. You know, it hurts. It really hurts when these neutral units, when these inanimate objects get destroyed in this game. I really, you know, I think it was a bad decision on Blizzard's part to just leave those things in there, exposed, vulnerable, in the way of all these battling combatants. Because, you know, it's just senseless killing. I don't mind, you know, throwing some drones and throwing some probes out there because you need to free up some supply. But what did the Mink statue ever do? Really? What did it ever do? Okay, I'll get off my soapbox. I just had to let that out. Let's talk about the game here. Alright, so Protoss is getting his ball back in play. He is... Let's look at his upgrades. He just has +1 defense and +2 attack. So not really following his upgrades to an extreme, and it doesn't look like he has anything that he's really teching up right now, which is odd. You know, we're reaching this late game. I suppose every penny counts, but over time you can definitely do those upgrades. So MaNa is not keeping up on his upgrades. Wherein it doesn't look like, other than melee damage, the Zerglings really haven't gotten much on them either. Alright, we do have an engagement here. Storms go down on the Roaches. Broodlords overhead. Will the Stalkers be able to micro that many Broodlords? Got the Spine Crawlers poking away. I just don't see this same combination from MaNa, our Protoss player, doing the same thing. You know, way back when, like a few minutes ago, maybe 10 minutes ago, this combination of troops would have worked. But with the Spine Crawlers, with letting the Zerg player build up, beating your head against Broodlords and Infestors and all that, I just don't think that was a well-timed, an effective engagement. Now this Overlord here is Pred and Creep, which will slow down any kind of production on this last thing for the Protoss player. Doesn't really matter too much, though. Well, it will matter because Zerg is eventually going to just plain run out of things to mine. He is mining fully this far base, which was destroyed earlier, and not any significant mining on the gold base just yet. This base is fully mined out. So without harping on it, eventually these two sides are going to mine themselves out, and you can actually see that. Now we do see kind of a tech switch from MaNa, a little bit late, I think. And that looks like he's trying to get some Void Rays out. He's got 2 Stargates, 2 more Void Rays in production. So he's going to start cranking out Void Rays. I don't think that's a bad decision with the current unit composition from our Zerg player. And it looks like the gold is mostly mined out. Got a 107 on that one and 170 on this one. I would go ahead and greedily mine those out, but that's just me. A couple Templars to prevent any kind of run through on this area. It looks like he's going to continue to invest in Archons. Stalkers, a few Zealots to help out in the background. Now he is getting Warp Prisms, and I have seen with the new patch a lot of different kinds of Warp Prism play, but most of it was just, you know, sniper attacks, drops, stuff like that. I really wonder what he's... he could maybe pop some Archons up in it, and he plans on sniping bases, doing multi-pronged attacks with those prisms. We'll have to see. Could be an interesting play out and things. And I know it's rude to drink while casting, and I do try to avoid it, but when it goes long, we're up to 35 minutes. I've got to do something to clear my throat, so I've got myself some black currant tea with a little honey in it. I kind of like it. Had a small little engagement over here, and the Zealots are going to get cleaned up. I did not see how many units were lost there. Some of these panels don't work for me. That won't work. There's the minerals. Control R. Alright, so I'm not sure how many units were killed there, but it looks like MaNa has definitely lost more units as far as units lost. Or as far as workers killed. As far as units lost, MaNa's still behind. Now he is bringing these Zealots in here, and they are tipping that tide. Okay, this is workers killed. So MaNa is definitely doing a good job of killing. We've killed 62 workers. Now, it does look like the Zerg player is going to be staying poised up here. We do have some Corruptors up here playing around. Let's see what is currently in production, which appropriately enough, we do have a Greater Spire coming back for DIMAGA, and then we now have Colossus play going in, but you know, here comes the Corruptors, and whatever he was going to do with that Warp Prison, he is not doing now. He has revealed his hand, too, that he does have Warp Prisms. I'm not sure what he was going to do with them. I was hoping that it was going to be some kind of interesting play. I believe that Warp Prism was empty, so we will not see anything from that guy. I'm not sure what kind of late-game Warp Prism play there would be anyway. Looks like Zerg has a significant number of troops down at the lower part of the map. He has abandoned this upper area, which again, that might be useful for Warp Prism play. Now we do have a different unit combination from MaNa. We'll see how this goes through. He's got Void Rays, but there's no significant upgrades for him. This tech switch, and with no real technology upgrades on MaNa's part. We'll see how this goes. I'm not really confident in what he's doing here, but you know, I've been proven wrong, so maybe I should just be quiet for a moment and I'll act not surprised when I see an engagement go down. So yeah, the War Prisons should help out against a good number of the units, because I don't think there's anything to really deal with air. But you know, those War Prisons do take a little while to get charged up, and he doesn't have like a magic threshold of Void Rays, and they just don't have the punch, I think, to take out such a large number of Zerg that they're going to be facing off with. To be honest, we've got 199 on the Protoss side and 175 on the Zerg side. So Zerg even has some room to increase his army. And then, of course, as long as he's keeping with spewing on his hatcheries, he'll be able to continue producing an army several times over if he's doing a good job with his larva maintenance. That's one thing I could never understand being a Zerg player, is doing that constant upkeep of your larva. Alright, so the spine crawlers are moving up, and it's like the Protoss knows when those are trying to move up, because he goes in there, tries to poke them down, but he's not going to engage the Zerg. So the spine crawlers will stay up and they will remain as a barrier to the Protoss. Protoss is just going to go ahead and kick it in there and say, I can take your spine crawlers and all your units. And the engagement has started. The Void Rays have come in and they are focus firing down many of the units. Now the Void Rays did just get some fungal growth on them, so they are going down pretty rapidly. And again, I did not think this was gonna work that well for the Protoss player. Those very expensive Void Rays and hard to produce Void Rays are going to go down, except for 2 of them. Infested Terrans chasing after them. So not the engagement MaNa wanted to see. And I had my doubts about his tech switch, and they just got confirmed right there. Now, he did invest in a +1 damage for the Void Rays. And is he going to continue? He is going to continue to produce Void Rays. But he is definitely not going to surprise the Zerg with that anymore. So I just don't think he planned it out quite right. We've got a couple goofball changelings coming in here to do some investigation. This guy's just gonna blob out all up in here, oddly enough. Wonder if Protoss can actually just see it. That's weird. Suppose that's a decent way to keep vision. So alright, these guys are just gonna build up another 200 and 200 setup. Hopefully bang their heads against each other and actually get something done this time. You know, these stalemates are just a little crazy. Have yet to understand them. I know this is the finals, so I don't think anybody wants to get crazy and say, I'm tired of this, I'm gonna end this game. And I believe this is game 1. And so when you're talking about like an hour-long game 1 and you've got a best of 5, good luck to these guys. I know I've gone to MLG where they have, you know, constant play from all hours of the day. And by Sunday, half the players look like total zombies. Whether you come up through the open brackets or even the closed brackets, that's just a lot of games. It's a lot of energy. That's a lot of excitement. So, this is definitely a rough start to a best of, I believe, 5. But, you know, the one who wins this, that kind of sets the pace. You know, once you've got that momentum, the loser kind of has to get that back. Alright, Void Rays are coming in here, trying to charge up on that extractor, but I think he saw the infestors and said, I gotta step out. Void Rays are going to kind of hover over here, possibly mess with one of the last mining bases for the Zerg player, minus the gold over there. And the Zerg does see this and is heading over to do some kind of defense. Void Rays are trying to charge up, but doing a poor job. And nice infestation on 3 or 4 of those Void Rays. Quickly getting hurt, pinned to the ground, and then they are decimated. Wow. So the response is a bunch of queens. We got a bunch of needles flying in the air at these guys. I guess Queens is not a bad choice with the unit combination that Protoss has. We do have a lot of Zealots over here. I do not think MaNa wanted to lose that many Void Rays right out, but such is the cost of poking in there. He didn't even really fully charge on that base. I think he was just trying to take it out. That would have delayed somewhat the production of the Zerg player. One Void Ray is going to head over, poke around, see what he can see. And he sees a bunch of defense. Nothing much to see there. Now the Protoss ball is built up. So it does look like... Oh! Statue goes down. Alright, so a nice storm on a bunch of probes that weren't doing anything. Killed for being lazy. Mink statue killed for just being. And Protoss is going to try to build up a little bit more. Maybe add a couple more Void Rays now that those probes are going to go down. And he's probably going to clean the rest of them up. Not sure why he's messing around with them, why they're so hard to kill. And the Void Rays are going to almost kill him. Very odd. Alright, both sides are kind of souping up. Something's got to happen here. Come on, look, I'm clapping. I'm clapping. Come on, guys. Let's get this game rolling. We got level 2 to air combat. So the Void Rays are finally getting upgraded. Got a couple roaches here. Are going to say, we want this DIMAGA tower. We want to keep it all to ourselves. Come on, come on, come on. Somebody move on it. You know, we got a whole tournament to do here, guys. I wonder what time it is. I know this was done in Europe, so it's probably done at a weird time for me, but they've got a lot more games to put down. Well, unless the winner of this match just goes on to win again and again and again. But you gotta, games like this have gotta affect you adversely. I know I've played a few online myself. Wow, look at the number of spine crawlers I just clicked. Got quite a few spine crawlers, which is not bad in the sense that they don't take up your supply, but not too useful in the late game unless the Protoss player jumps on it like jumping on a sword. Which, to be honest, MaNa has been doing that this game, so we'll see how that goes. If MaNa's going to jump on that sword. And it really looks like the Zerg player, DIMAGA, has has just decided, hey, Protoss keeps on coming over here, keeps on hammering away at me. I put up all these spine crawlers, and I let him jump on that sword. Unfortunately, I think MaNa is onto that game and is staying on his side, containing the creep, and just kind of saying, hey, I can play the wait game too. You come over here, I'll bring my ball in your face, and we'll fight up on my turf. And right now, I think the responsibility lies on the Zerg side. As far as he's going to probably run out of minerals to mine and things to do before our Protoss player. Well, maybe not. Let me see. Our Protoss player is pretty much done with any kind of mining on his part, so I stand corrected. And our Zerg player just has the gold. So yeah, he's gonna continue to mine the gold and just maintain this defensive posture. That is more spine crawlers than I have ever seen in a game, ever. I gotta drink some more of my black tea just seeing those. Craziness. Craziness on DIMAGA's part. He's gonna try to win this thing with spine crawlers and broodlords. Ah, yes! It's the old spine crawler broodlord trick. I used to do that in StarCraft beta. Not really, not really. I wasn't even in the beta, but don't tell anybody. I'll lose all casting cred out there. So, yeah, we finally got a little aggression coming from our Zerg players. Gonna come in here with a bunch of broodlords, which will be able to quickly decimate all of these gateways and all of this technology from our Protoss player. Is he going to be ready for this? He is bringing a significant number of Void Rays over here, and that is going to push off. And the engagement is in full bloom now. We'll see how this pans out. He did lose quite a few gateways, but I do not think MaNa is heavily... Oh! Well done. That was some crazy infestation or fungal growth. And it looks like our Protoss player is going to push back. Is going to push back with his carriers and his Void Rays. I guess during that downtime, I didn't even notice that MaNa was bringing in carrier technology. But heck, we had 20 minutes for that to happen. And believe it or not, that might have been the unit combination that he was looking for. He has no ground units whatsoever. But DIMAGA only has that Spine Crawler army, which are pretty much useless against air units. So our Protoss player is just walking through our Zerg player's base. He does have 4,000 as far as resources. His gold base is mined out. What is he gonna do? He really doesn't have the time or ability to spend those 4,000 resources, and he's definitely not going to be able to resupply. The Protoss player is still at 130 as far as his army goes, and I just don't see DIMAGA coming back from this. Really, it came down to unit combinations, and we all know that MaNa was trying to find that sweet spot and bring something to bear against DIMAGA that would be effective. And I think DIMAGA's idea of spine crawlers and continue to focus on ground troops was directly opposite to MaNa's movement to almost a full air army, with these blink stalkers coming in where need be. Now these spore crawlers are being put up, but too little, too late. Tons of corruptors over here, brood lords over here. The final stand from DIMAGA. Will he be able to hold this off? He is not going to be able to create another army. If this does not, and it does not, DIMAGA taps out. That was a good game. Another epic game. And this is the first game of 5, possible 5, best of 5, for the finals of the IEM Global Challenge. I'll try to get those. Hopefully all of them are not 58 minutes and 36 seconds. Otherwise, my throat is going to kill me. My YouTube channel is filling up rapidly with these huge games. I hope you don't think, oh, Voltas only does the long games, because really, honestly, I don't. I can't wait to do a couple games that are 5 minutes to 15 minutes, like a normal player. But I do love these epic games, and I do love the IEM Global Challenge. I will try to continue to broadcast that, because I'm not sure I see a lot of it out there. And I appreciate my European counterparts. So, yeah, thanks for watching, everyone.